Apparently, I have no idea what I'm doing. Good morning, everybody. I'm Captain Tommy Scoville, and you are on the lifeboat. It's Sunday, people. I dig Sunday, man. Honestly, Sunday is just one of those days for me. Didn't used to be, but I really dig Sundays. So this is a good one, peeps. This is going to be a good one, and this is going to be a good one for a lot of reasons. But the most important reason is this is actually an important subject matter. We This concept of being anchored through the process of sobriety is probably a hell of a lot more important than you think it is. As human beings, we desire an anchor. Good morning, Cherry Bakewell. I understand that a cherry bakewell is a tasty treat in another country. My best friend, fortunately, one of my best friends. My best friend's probably an Aussie, which is sad. It's perfect, but it's also my two best friends are on the two people I talk to the most, and are on just I don't know anybody that's in my country anymore. I don't talk to anybody here locally. But somebody said to me, a cherry bakewell is a popular a baked good that is popular. I outed you. I did. I think it's a really cool name. But when somebody told me that, I said to my friend, I said, if you didn't tell me that, it would have been, I just would have thought that was your name for the rest of the time that you were here. So I'm glad that I do have a little bit of a hookup on the other side of the pond. Today, we're going to talk about being anchored in this sobriety thing. And if you're here and you're saying to yourself, well, you know what, I never really had a drug program. This one's not going to be for me. This is going to be as for you, if not more, than it is for anyone else. We go through life with or without an anchor, and an anchor in life does the exact same thing that it does in the whole nautical arena, right? The idea being that you're not going to float the hell away, that you're going to have the ability to keep your vessel within a certain distance of where you want to be. And sadly, a lot of us do float the hell away, don't we? On lots of different things. And we find ourselves chasing stuff that can be dangerous. And, we do a lot with growing up in Scientology. And I hear people, and this happens all the time, whether it's here, hello, I'm Hunt. If it's good to see you, M. Hunt. I'm glad that you're here. But I get emails from people, or we'll be talking about the Scientology thing or any other thing like that, and people will say, "I just don't understand how anyone could get sucked into that. That would never happen to me." And I think it's important to realize and to mention that this is people's search for an anchor. This is people's desire to find something that is going to anchor their life, something that with no matter what the hell else is going on, this is what is going to make sense. It is going to be the point of reference of what I go back to as a way of making sense of everything in this world that doesn't make a lot of sense. And if you think to yourself, well, that could never happen to me, it did. It did. Drugs is the exact same thing. Drugs is our ability to try to make sense of a world that doesn't make sense. It's got us feeling this way, and it's got us feeling that way, and it's got us worried about this, and it's got us stressed about that. And we just say, you know what? No, I'm not doing that anymore. I'm not doing that anymore. It's uncomfortable. I don't like the way it feels. I'm just going to sedate myself because that's going to be my anchor. When the rest of the world is stressed out about, a promotion at work or, fights with their significant other, how their family is doing, what's going on in the world. Now I'm just going to sedate. I'm just going to keep myself on a nice, even keel. And I'm going to do it with 7 or 8 drinks a day. Or I'm going to do it with, a line first thing in the morning. I'm going to smoke a little cocaine throughout the day, and that's how I'm going to get by. Or I'm going to eat pills, or whatever it is that you're going to do. It is a desire for an anchor of some sort in life, a desire of having a point of reference that we can use to get through things that we normally couldn't get through. And then there are people who find charismatic leaders and end up, in cults. How do we guard ourselves from winding up in places that we don't want to be, but at the same time, finding that anchor? there should be some dead giveaway stuff, right? And this should be throughout and everything in life. If you've got to pay for your anchor, I'd be a little nervous. If the going rate is $700 a month, but for $700 a month, we're going to give you an anchor. That doesn't sound like an anchor to me. That sounds like somebody that's got it together as far as running a pretty good hustle. But what we're hoping for is that wherever you end up, this is something that is very much a voluntary part of your life, and it's something that is a point of reference. It is something that helps and guides you. What it doesn't do is order you around. If we came here tomorrow and we said, you know what, because I know that some people right now are thinking the lifeboat is a great anchor, and it isn't. If you think the lifeboat is an anchor, it's a great tool, man. I'm not kidding you. It is absolutely the number one tool in my arsenal for remaining sober. To be sure, this is a huge, huge tool for getting sober. It is not my anchor. And we'd be in really big trouble if it was, right? I mean, we would. We're subject to all kinds of changes that can happen on a YouTube channel. For that reason and that reason enough, you couldn't anchor yourself to something like that. Your anchor needs to be you. Your anchor needs to be a set of rules and a set of values and a set of things you find important for your sobriety that you put out, that you lay out in front of you and say, this is it, right? This is the game plan for my sobriety. And I'm going above and I am going beyond, right? I am going to put this out in such a concrete form. And you say, I don't know, Tommy. Well, this is what I mean by you might want to plan for your sobriety and your future a little bit more than you plan for a fishing trip or a vacation, right? Because we would plan for a vacation for days on end. Call restaurants and see if you can get a booking. I remember once a trip that I took to New Orleans, and I mean, this puppy was scheduled like you would not believe. We knew 30 days before we left. This was me and an ex-wife. We knew 30 days before we left what we were going to be doing on any of the 20 some odd days that we were in New Orleans for this vacation. But in the 40 some odd years up to that point in my life, I had never spent that much time planning for my sobriety, which is why I am divorced, which is why I ended up back in prison, and all of the other things that happened to me was because this was not something I had a handle on at all. And the things that I anchored my life to, my anchor was heroin. And if you make the anchor in your life a substance, you will do anything for that. There is nothing that you will not do in order to get that substance. And it is a very, very dangerous road to start going down. So you have to be your own anchor. And I know people right now who are saying, you know what? My anchor is my higher power. Excellent. Put it first thing on your list. When you make this is my anchor, go ahead and put that as the most important thing for you. But define it. Define every aspect of what is going to anchor you into your sobriety. I'll be really honest. When I did this, what anchored me into my sobriety were people other than me, right? My anchors this was not about me, because at that point, I just really didn't like me very much. I was not very happy with who I was as a human being and what I had done up to that point of my life. In the first 46 years that I had on this planet, I didn't do particularly well. I mean, I did really crappy. I broke law after law. The only thing that I was really good at was making sure that every single day I had enough heroin. And sadly, that's not a skill. That's not a skill set that's going to benefit you in life. This is not an anchor that's going to make your time on this planet better. Quite the opposite. What this is going to do is make your time on this planet a hell of a lot worse, right? These days, my belief in a higher power is a huge part of my anchor. But you know what? You have to be careful in that too. I have to be very careful that I don't find myself anchored to a person that that talks about my higher power, or a person within a faith. You understand? It's very dangerous when we hand over the when we hand over something that important to somebody other than ourselves. Then we open ourselves up for a crap load of bad things that can happen. Like, you know what? Yeah, this lifeboat thing, right? It's helping you and it's good stuff. But from now on, the lifeboat says, I don't want you talking to your siblings anymore, right? You got to stop talking to your brothers and sisters because they're not on board with what we're doing on the lifeboat, right? Now, I should probably say, you realize I'm not serious, because there will be people that will just take that clip, and that'll be a video tomorrow about how I'm kicking people out of their families. But I'm serious. This is one of those things. If you start to give yourself over to a person instead of a belief, if you start giving yourself over to something else in your life, if you allow the anchorage in your life to be in the hands of somebody else, that's the kind of crazy crap that happens. You start hearing things like you can't hang out with your family anymore. They don't understand what we're trying to do. And you can't have people around that don't understand what we're trying to do. Run, right? Turn around and run as fast as you possibly can in the opposite direction. Now, don't get me wrong. There are people on the boat who are going to say, you know what? The biggest trigger I have in my entire life is my family. I can't be near them. Well, that's on you, brother or sister. Seriously, if that's where you're at and it's going to take a while before you can put that back together, I understand that. I completely get that. I know a lot of people that have had to separate themselves from family or friends or whatever until they could get a little bit of sobriety under their belt. And that actually makes a lot of sense. But it's your decision. There shouldn't be anybody telling you who you can be with and who you can't be with, right? That's kind of a terrifying thing. But it's one of those things that we do, don't we? And a lot of us do the exact same thing, consciously or subconsciously, to our significant other. How many people have just said, you know what, man? I love him to death. He's a great guy. And you know what? I'm just going to basically make this individual my anchor. I'm going to make this individual my life. And you know what? If that works, that's fantastic. I don't see that work very often. I really don't. We're talking about this walk with sobriety is a really, really difficult thing. And you're going to find yourself often, right? Very often, if not constantly, you are going to find yourself alone, you and your substance of choice. Now, doesn't mean you're going to be sitting in the room with heroin. It just means that you and heroin are going to be alone in a room. And heroin's going to be saying, you should really go get some, right? There's no reason to sit around here and feeling the way you're doing. You're strong enough now. You could do this for one day. Let's just go do one day. Come on. Let's go one day. You can't be relying on anybody but you at that point. You and what you have decided to put together as your anchor. Now, your significant other can most assuredly be a part of that. But define this crap. Don't just hand over your will to somebody or something. Sit down and figure out exactly what it is that you do. There are people who will not make decisions without meditating. I respect that. If that is how you make decisions so that you can sit down and clear your mind and not find yourself in a position where, you're not firing on all cylinders when you need to do something as important as make a decision like that. By the way, thoughts and prayers to Full of Hope, who's going through some tough times right now. Her mom is up there in age and is at the end of her time on this planet. And I know that Full of Hope is going through a really, really tough thing right now. But our thoughts and prayers with her. She's just a rock solid member of the boat and has been for a long time. I was going back through some old videos. It's amazing how long some of the people have been here on the boat. It really is. So we do this with our significant others. We do it with groups, right? There are people who do it with churches, and it's not any healthier if you're doing it with a church. It really isn't. I mean, my belief in a higher power is no secret to anybody on the planet. I spend a decent amount of time talking about it. In fact, very specifically, I just don't do it on this platform. But it's no secret to anybody. So obviously, it's a huge part of my life. But once again, a huge part of my life. It is a huge part of a puzzle that I have put together that is the anchor of my sobriety. And it is a massive part of it. So is meditating when I need to make decisions. I meditate by talking to a higher power, but it is meditation. Make no mistake. I sit down and I do, and I spend long periods of time in conversation these days with my higher power, and it's working beautifully for me. I found out my great ×5 grandmother is the only woman listed with a business, grocers, in a document from 1793. She was a widow with twins. I now use her as a higher power as I am not religious. That is absolutely amazing. Five great grandmothers back. Damn, that's a long time ago. You know what, Miss Bakewell, if that works for you, fantastic. Fantastic. Find what works. Find what works for you. I think that this is something that is essential, and it goes beyond the belief in something bigger than yourself. It also goes to this whole: this is my sobriety. This is my plan. This is how I intend to get off of this planet without doing dope again, right? Or without drinking again, or whatever your substance of choice is, right? They're full of hope. Good to see you. I was just speaking of you earlier. There are added benefits to this whole having an anchor as the backbone of what you do in your life. And the first of those is having a clarity of purpose. If you have not sat down and really laid out what the rest of this ride is going to be, it really is. This is an opportunity to clearly lay out your values, your goals, your aspirations, to provide a strong anchor guiding your decisions and your actions. But most people just say, all right, you know what? I'm done. I'm not drinking anymore. Okay, so today is Friday, and starting tomorrow, Saturday, I am no longer a drinker, and this is what I'm doing from this point forward. And you need a better plan than that. You really honestly need a better plan than that. Clarity of purpose is huge. A strong support system. And this is what I meant earlier by the lifeboat isn't your anchor, right? It better not be your anchor, but it is an awesome support system. And if you want to anchor yourself in your sobriety and in your life, a strong support system isn't just important. It is really important. It is a huge, huge part of what you're going to be doing walking forward. If you don't have a strong support system, if you don't surround yourself with a supportive network of friends, family, and mentors who can provide emotional stability and a sense of belonging, then this is going to be a much harder ride. And it's one of the reasons that what we're doing right here is the gold standard for recovery. This is what people do for a very solid reason, and the reason is pretty obvious. When you bring a group of like-minded people together who are all trying to pull for the same thing, and that all have point of reference, right? All have something that they rally around. There is something from my past, be it a chemical, doesn't have to be a chemical, by the way. It can be an activity. It can be an action. We can be addicted to so many things, people. And very often, I think that people lose sight of that. And we tend to think of addiction and we go, coke, heroin, booze. I don't do any of that stuff, right? I don't even smoke weed. I've never been addicted to a thing in my life. And then you start talking to that person and you find out that they did, gamble pretty hard for about 2 years, or any number of other things that are habitual. Eating disorders can be habitual. Right? There are so many things that we do that become ingrained in who we are as people. And I don't think that there's anybody left on this planet. I'm not kidding you. With sugar and phones, I don't think there's anybody left on planet Earth that's not addicted to something. And if they are, they're so far away from society, because the way our food is engineered, the way our little communication devices that we carry on our hips at all times, 24/7, right? Keep it on a little charger right next to the bed. a 6-hour crossing and you're in Ireland. I love looking at pictures of Ireland. I really do. It looks to me like the places that I really wish that I had gotten to. I've never been there, and that one kind of bums me out. Resilience. Developing resilience helps you weather life's changes, allowing you to bounce back from setbacks and maintain a sense of stability. And I'll tell you something else. Resilience absolutely goes hand in hand with having that strong support system. For real. We don't bounce back fast, especially when we first get sober. We don't. We've been beating the hell out of ourselves for so damn long that we are beaten down. Right? How many of us actually feel good about who we are in life, especially when we first quit? Do you know how many people now on the lifeboat I have watched? I'm thinking of there are 2 or 3 that come to mind every single time, but people that if I look at where they're at today, and we go back, say 3 months or 5 months or even a year, and look at where they were. What the support system here has done for so many people is absolutely incredible. I was in, we have a little moderator chat, just, for all of the wrench people, so that if something comes up or I'm going to do a show on like 1 minute notice or whatever, I'll pop in there and say, hey, I'm going to be going live, or I wanted to talk to you guys about this. But we have this mod chat, and I was in it the other day, and I don't even remember what the subject matter was, but a comment came in from Nick, and I've told his story so many times before on the boat. But Nick was one of those negative cats you've ever met, and I'm not being funny. Like, he was blocked on the lifeboat. He was, and I don't unblock people. Like, I don't unblock people. If my mods block somebody, there's a reason that they block them, and I don't unblock them. I just don't do that. It's not worth it. We just move on, and we try to reach the masses. We're not going to let one person or one group do damage, right? So, but I'm looking at his name in the moderator chat, and I'm thinking to myself, he didn't just get back, right? I didn't just unblock this cat. He's the only person I've ever unblocked, but he's a moderator. And he's also one of the kindest people I've ever met in my life. He blew a 180. Like, he changed his life as much as I did, to be sure. And the person that he's become has been, I don't know. I can't tell you how cool it is to witness. And this has happened with a lot of people. He's just my favorite example, because he went from just so not liking anybody here or anything that we were doing to just being one of the kindest. And Nick is awesome. ZW says Nick's awesome. And he really is. He's absolutely amazing. Full of Hope says, I am visiting you, Cherry Bakewell. Well, that, man, get a damn camera. Let's watch that. I'd like to see the filming of you two coming together. I really would. That, folks, would be cool. Self-care. This is a big one. Prioritizing self-care, including physical health, mental well-being, and relaxation, contributes to a stable foundation for navigating life's ups and downs. I will throw in there, because I should have written it the first time, that also, this should be obvious, but that includes sleep, right? Getting enough sleep. This is an epidemic for everybody on planet Earth. I don't care what part of the world you're in. We don't do well with this whole getting enough sleep thing. With what I do with the lifeboat, that becomes why are pirates called pirates? They just are. Okay, I got one. A quick story. Sorry, I know this is squirreling off, but so I did an infomercial years ago. Actually, I did several infomercials years ago, but one of them I was in, and I was a testimonial as well as being the guy that storyboarded it and did all of that. And it was one of those how to make money. It was a money system, one of those business opportunity infomercials, which, people like to, about once every 7 or 8 months, somebody finds this and they come out like they've got an expose. Hey, do you know that this dude used to do, man? Yeah. Well, anyway, I I've disclosed this, I think, from probably the first maybe 3 months that we've been a boat. We talked about this all the time because it was a huge part of my life. But while we were doing this, one of the people we were filming for this infomercial, right? We were filming right up on Lake Ontario, and we brought in this family, and there was a husband and a wife, and they were the creepiest. I'm sorry, they really were. And if they happen to see this, they're creepy. If you see the way they look at each other when they film, there's just something really creepy about these people. It looks like a Saturday Night Live sketch. They don't, when they talk to you, they look at each other like this while they're talking to you. And it's just, it's so creepy. But their kid was there. And the host, whose name was Danny, he's a very good friend of mine. And the both of us were pretty strung out on dope when this was being made. So we were high as hell anyway. But Danny sees this kid and he comes up and he says to the kid, how you doing? And he introduces himself. He's trying to make the kid feel a little bit more relaxed because the kid's supposed to be on camera. And it's great to have you here, blah, blah, blah. And the directors and everybody's ready to go. And Danny goes, hey, I got a joke for you. The kid goes, yeah, what's that? He goes, what's a pirate's favorite letter? And the kid goes, I don't know. And Danny goes, arr. And the kid, who's probably 5 or 6, maybe 7, just goes, woo, and just instantly bursts into tears. I mean, loses it. I'm sorry, it's not funny. It was so funny at the time because he looked at me like, oh no. And the mother looked at him like he had, reached out and slapped the kid. It was a pretty funny, and we were about to film. Needless to say, it ruined the shot, but it was still pretty damn funny. Another benefit, no longer going about pirate angry. Well, there's definitely a benefit to not walking through life angry. We've been talking about this a lot. If you haven't gone back and caught any of the shows that I've been doing on the brain and about trauma being held in the body, this is a subject that we've been beating on. One of the things that we hadn't got to is that trauma stores in the body, right? It really does. Yes, it's a mental anguish and it's something that takes place between the ears. But because of how hooked up we are, the vagus nerve that runs through our entire body, right? The fight or flight thing. If right now somebody comes up and they're like, you know what, Tommy, you're a punk. You and me outside right now instantly, right? My heart's going to start beating faster. A little adrenaline's going to get pumped into the system. I'm going to start breathing different. My hands are going to start sweating a little bit, right? You're literally, the nerve shuts off the part of your stomach that is handling digestion. This is why when you get ready for a fist fight, you get that feeling in your stomach. Your body's like, we're not wasting any energy right now trying to break down that apple pie. This dude's about to get in a fist fight. And all energy in the body gets diverted for this upcoming fight that might happen. What happens if you've got trauma that gets imprinted, as we've been talking about for the last week? What happens if that trauma gets imprinted so toughly on the brain that you're not just reliving the memory, you're staying in that fight or flight mode? You're living in it. There are people who will spend 30 years of their life, no joke, in that heightened fight or flight. The vagus nerve is firing. You're not literally at that moment, but because that memory is so imprinted, you are constantly at a state of heightened awareness, like you're ready to go. And it's a terrible way to go through life. It's another one of the reasons that people go to things like meditation and yoga and any of the practices that can help you relax and get yourself out of that fight or flight and into that relaxation, that feeling that you get after you just had a really good meal and you want to go and lay down and take a nap and relax. That's what we're shooting for. Sadly, that's not where we spend most of our time. Hello, Linda Ford. Good to see you. Glad that you're on the boat. And what we do to try to achieve that's, some people run, some people walk, some people meditate, some people read. Some people read holy texts. People do whatever they need to do. And you know what? Yes, I can thank PTSD for that. It says stand for truth. And yeah, you can. I mean, that really is what we're talking about. As we've said so many times, especially in the last week or so, because we've been beating this message home. But what we've been talking about is how Memories get imprinted on the brain differently when they are attached to very heavy emotion, right? Those are the memories that stick around the longest. And we've also talked at length about how our brain can't tell the difference between a memory, right, and reality. It can't. It's not really hardwired that way. So if you get put back into that position, and I think everybody has been here at some point in your life, you see something. The lifeboat I journaled last night and this morning. Thank you for the advice. Wow, powerful stuff. My eyes were leaking for myself, not others. I love it. Cherry, good for you, man. Good for you. It is a huge thing. It really is. It's the greatest tool in my arsenal, to be sure, right? And a huge part, by the way, of my anchor. You know, one of the things that anchors me to my sobriety more than anything in the world is my journaling. It really does. And it's how you start to get into this trauma that we're talking about that gets imprinted on the body, because the memory of that trauma is going to keep you in a position where you're not going to be relaxing. You're not. You're going to live in a state of heightened arousal that we're not meant to be in. But sadly, that our brains work that well, right? They hold on to traumatic events so tightly that all of a sudden it becomes hardwired that, man, you have a slow drip of adrenaline that is going into your bloodstream 24/7, 365, and it can happen to you for 3 or 4 decades, right? Or you can get a handle on it. And you know, if you're saying, how do you get a handle on it? You journal, right? You work back through the times in your life. Or tell you what, if you're made of money, you go find somebody that's got a business that does what I do, but does it alone. And they put you on a couch and they sit down and they charge you, $75, $100 an hour, and they ask you to tell them, what's going on. And they will ask you certain questions, and they'll be the same kind of questions that you're asking yourself if you're journaling. Right? They'll say stuff like, take me back to when you were in elementary school. What is one of the first things? And all of a sudden you're already defensive because you're in the office of somebody that's asking you these questions that kind of in your head. That's why we just throw out little teasers like that. Like, list every boyfriend you can remember from kindergarten through high school, college, graduate school, your job, your husband, your whatever. Because it'll get you going back through and it'll get you thinking about things. And all of a sudden you'll be like, oh man, I remember that time when so-and-so and I went out to see the movie, whatever. And this is what happened. And all of a sudden you're actually dealing with some things that are legit trauma, and you're working your way out of it. I'm with a psychiatrist tomorrow morning. Eek, says Full of Hope. And she said it with a really cool accent. You never heard Full of Hope's accent. I've always had a thing for accents, Aussie accents, Irish accents, Scottish accents. I dig it. British accents. Where has Heather been? Right? That's a great question. What has happened with Heather has, and this is kind of probably Heather's story to tell, but it is health related. Heather's been struggling with health issues. I assure you, I would be really happy to see Heather firing on all cylinders, and I'm sure that she's going to be back, and I hope that she's going to be back soon. Paying for an argument, Monty Python skit, excellent skit. What kind of argument were you looking for? Speaking of accents, hello, Lady Crispin, good to see you. Glad that you're here. Monk. And then lastly, in our don't leave out us Welshies. Well, I am so sorry. What has gotten into me? You know what? If we could toss this up for, yeah, there you go. How about that? I was just about to say that actually. Heather, Heather has, between the two of us, right? Between the two of us, Heather has health issues as well. She has fibromyalgia and she has several other health conditions that I don't know whether or not she's ever discussed on the channel. So I'm not going to do that, but I'm sure that she will when she comes back. she's she's healing as quickly as possible, and we're keeping her in our thoughts and prayers. And in the meantime, does it matter if the accent is male or female? It does to me. I don't know if it does to other people. I certainly prefer, no, it doesn't, in all honesty. But I certainly prefer listening to women talk. I prefer to listening to women sing too. I don't know what it is. There's something about a woman's voice that, and I mean, I dig music from everybody, but if I'm trying to chill out or whatever, I absolutely would prefer to listen to the sound of a woman's voice. Etta James will. All right, I can chill out to Etta James like very few people, and some old Aretha Franklin. There's some early Aretha stuff I can. But anyway, yeah, I definitely prefer the female ones better, but accents in general. Yeah, the German accent has never held much of a appeal for me. That part of the world much in general. And then lastly, if you really want to anchor yourself to this stuff, of course you do, ZW. Nobody doesn't love Etta James. I'm slowly recovering from my ear infection. Had onion socks at night. Onion socks at night. Holy moly, that stuff works. Onion socks I am not familiar with. Mind Game says Karen Carpenter. Poor Karen Carpenter. She literally ate herself to death. Ella Fitzgerald. Linda, well played. Yeah. Well played. Yeah. Ella Fitzgerald was. How about the Philly accent, says Quiet Girl. Yeah, Philly and South Boston. Nothing just says, relax like listening to somebody talk about packing the car, It would be okay to carry on in an East Coast accent if that's natural to you, Tommy, or no. I have an East Coast accent, and I tend to carry on in an East Coast accent. I mean, I do what I can to knock the edges off of it, because if I get lazy, or back when I used to drink or do drugs, when I would start getting buzzed, you would really hear the accent come out. Chopped onions, wrapped and socks over it. Do you put the socks on, or do you just sleep with these onions around your neck? Or I'm lost. What do you do with the chopped onions once they're in the socks? Yeah, I'm confused, but it sounds fascinating, and I mean that. Like the idea of that working is something that I really do find. Look at Cherry's town name, please. Where is Cherry's town name? Don't tell me she's in Cheshire. Oh, no. Lillian Fair Willing goes. You stop that. That's not a word. Cherry, you stop that. That cannot possibly be a word. Does everybody see this? Look at this thing. That is the name of her town. Are you sure of this? Lanfair, Pwilgini, Lagoguri, Chili, Salia, go. Was I in the ballpark, Cherry Blackwell? Did I get an A for effort? What in hell? That is not the name of a town. How many syllables is that? It's got to be like 9 or 10 syllables. I'm not believing for 1 second that could possibly be the name of a town. Think of how long it takes just to fill out an envelope, right? What if you're writing to someone in the town and you've got to put that as the return address as well? It would take up an entire envelope. In fact, you couldn't do it with a birthday card envelope. It would have to be one of those like legal size numbers. That is absolutely insane. Somebody back me up on this. She's making this up, isn't she? Full of hope. Is that really a word? Onions in a sock over your feet at night are supposed to draw out toxins. Okay. The corner of 33rd and 3rd. Yeah. You forgot windy, droppy in the middle. Oh, see, I knew it didn't look right. There needed to be about, 11 more letters in it? Checks out. That's the name of the town? That is absolutely unbelievable. It really is. I would love to hear that pronounced. Fiona Crispin says, if you get that in Scrabble, you're winning. If you get that in Scrabble, you won. There is. Allison Stacy says, wow, that is really cool. That is incredible. Oh no. Oh no. It might be look at this. You forgot that lovely place in New Zealand. Tamara Wakan Gangly Gakko Tommy De Eurekapuka Manga. You should see the look Squirrel's giving me, like, what in the hell are you saying? Once again, I'm really struggling to believe that that is the name of a town or a person or anything else. But let me see here. What have we got going on here now? Well, that is just downright funny. Sorry, people. Having a little computer trouble. Yeah, that you know what? I could do this though. I think you're all just making this crap up. Like I could come up with a really good one too. Squirrel is hanging out of this basket. I'm not kidding you, this far. Like she has a paw that is 16 inches hanging out of this basket, and sadly on my leg, which makes me wait a sec. That's like Sky Kill. Da, 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 da. Oops, I did the wrong one there. Allison Stacy says, you're definitely beating me in Scrabble. It sounds like a 2-year-old with a typewriter. That's not actually such a bad, that's not such a bad take there, Mind Games. That is not such a bad take. Power to make the captain blush half a world away. Yes, yeah, no question. Tom Jones was born 10 miles away from me. Really? Yes, I know School Kill. There is there's actually I'm pretty sure there's a federal prison there. If there's not, there used to be one in School Kill. In fact, it was considered basically the one of the coolest of the yards to go to at one time. That's where everybody wanted to go, was to School Kill. Can you get back in the basket, little Miss Weirdo? Yeah, there you go. Maybe back in there. You gonna keep your head hanging out like that? Maybe that's how she's cooling off. She just wants her head hanging out of the basket. If I angle that right, you might be able to see it. Luke Skywalker, good to see you. Glad that you're here. Speaking of accents, yet another. So the very last of the things that if you're going to anchor yourself, you want continuous learning. All right, this is the last of them. Continuous learning, seeking knowledge and personal growth helps keep you engaged and adaptable, enhancing your ability to remain grounded in changing circumstances. There is a reason that people in recovery study recovery. There's a reason that people in recovery get intimately involved, not only in their own recovery, but in the recovery of others. And the reason is, it is another absolute hardcore grounding method for this whole anchorage concept. We know, and let's keep it real. You can call it whatever you want, but we know we're different, right? We have a disease. And on the bright side, it's one that can be treated. It most assuredly cannot be cured, but you can treat it and never have a symptom again as long as you live. And that's, as far as I'm concerned, that's damn near as good as being cured, right? If you can ditch the symptoms, what difference does it make one way or to other? And I'm here to tell you that you can absolutely get rid of the symptoms of this. This is something that you can put in the rearview mirror. But the continuing education, continuing to learn about what goes on in the addicted mind, continuing to learn about every advancement in the science, or I don't even know if science is the right word, but yeah, I mean in the study of addiction, because different things happen. This is cutting edge in terms of where we're at. We're in a unique place in the history of recovery, right? We are finally to a place now where everybody, and I do mean everybody, is on board with the fact that this is a disease. And because of that, we have an entirely different approach by a lot of the people within the recovery community. Once you can nail this down to that as a reality, you see, sadly, just like everything else, for so long you couldn't get off Jump Street. You couldn't round go and collect your $200 because as soon as you started talking about anything, the conversation got back to it's a disease, it's not a disease, it's a choice, it's not a choice. And that absolutely would table any kind of serious debate about anything else. Now that the entire planet is on board with the fact that this is a disease, everybody is now looking at a lot of really cool ways, damn it all to hell and back. Everyone's looking at a lot of cool ways to start looking at this in a whole new way, right? Looking at addiction in a way that people never have in the past. And we're seeing a lot of, that is the cat inside the desk drawer, fishing things out, because she is absolutely an incorrigible animal. That whole curiosity could take out the cat thing. Man, there's whoever said that, like, new cats. They are the most curious little creatures in the entire world. Aren't you? He's a good kitty. All right, people. So it's Sunday. It's the end of the weekend. You guys know my Sunday routine. I will be doing a 3 o'clock on the other channel. Don't come over there if you don't want to hear it. For real. If you like me and you like me here and you don't want to, then there's no reason to go over there. But if it's something that you're interested in and you're open-minded or whatever, truck on over. And then I will be doing a show here. As she caught the rattlesnake. I will not let this cat near a rattlesnake. The rattlesnake, fortunately, is on the other side of my fence. The people that put the fence here when this house was built had the idea that they didn't want snakes in the backyard. So it's not just like a gate that you would walk through. It is a gate that when it is closed, a snake would really need to be very creative to get through this. They would need to be able to stand up about 3 feet, 3.5 feet to get over this, because there's a mesh part of the fence and they take it all the way to the ground with a little flange. Like, they're worried about snakes. There's a lot of rattlesnakes in this part of the world. So on the bright side, I don't have to deal with Squirrel Nut Zipper having to put up with her wrestling with rattlesnakes, because that would be really, really unfortunate. She does have a pretty good time with lizards. Not much I can do about that. They have no problem getting into the backyard. So Squirrel is kind of like the great lizard hunter. Funny, again, though, she doesn't kill any of them. Like, she'll pick one up in her mouth and run over with it with this big lizard, and then she drops it and they run away. It's like I'm not joking at all. My cat does a catch and release program with mice. In her entire life, I think she's killed 3. And I think the first 1 or 2 was by accident. And then when we were moving, she was kind of angry, and I think she took one out. But like here, I'll go in the garage and she'll have it caught, and she'll be holding it. And she sees me and just runs away and lets the thing take off. Very, very unusual cat, Squirrel Nut. She really is different. Hey, story time with Uncle Bill. I haven't seen you in a minute. Good to see you, bud. Really good to see you. Have a blessed Sunday, people. Chat with you soon, says Andy Paul. Andy, good to see you. Other side of the pond as well. Got a lot of people from Well, honestly, our audience has built outside the U.S. probably faster, or as fast to be sure, as it did inside the U.S. It's one of those things. All right, people. You know what? We are not quite at the top of the hour, but I am going to be ending this one a little bit early. I'll tell you why. Um, you know, on I do the church thing and everything else on Sunday, and I'm going to go back and try to catch just an hour or two of sleep before I do. I have been on a tear. I'm not sure how many shows I've done in a row, but between here and the other channels that I've been going on as well, I don't know how many shows I've done in a short period of time, but it's been a bunch of them. What time on Rumble? 3:00 Pacific, 3:00 West Coast, right? That is 3:00 on the West Coast. Okay. Cherry Bakewell, it was good to have you here today. Seriously. Thank you so much. And to everybody that gets up early and spends their mornings with us, I really appreciate you guys. I do. And it's an honor and a pleasure, right? Always. Lady Crispin, good to have you back. Always nice to see Fiona when she's able to get here. I am Captain Tommy Scoville, and this, doing the look at me backwards routine, that is Squirrel. A cat in a basket. All right? We'll see you, everybody. You're a good kitty. You're a good kitty. All right, everybody. We'll see you tonight on the boat. I'm Captain Tommy. This is Squirrel Nut. Say goodbye, buddy. You're a good